Hello, my name is Nicholas and this is another Swarm update video. Since the last video, I've added rocks into the simulation, being objects that the Swarm wants to collect and pile up in the center. I have added a new mechanic whereby the TaskBots can drill into the ground to produce rocks, and I've added a central shuttle which will process these rocks. So, firstly, this is the simulation, and these grey objects that you can see scattered around the place are the rocks. What's happening here is the scout robots are able to identify these rocks, they're able to visually pick them out, and create a new task ordering that those rocks be pushed from wherever they are towards the center of the map. And what we can see is the movement robots are moving out, collecting those rocks, and piling them up in this location here. As you would expect, after a while, the movement robots have collected most of the rocks within the scout's visual range, but we can see that when we add more scouts, new rocks become visible, and the movement bots will go and collect those as well. So this is all using the foundation that was set up whereby the task bots could be pushed around, but it has been changed around a bit so that the requests are sorted a lot smarter, and they actually have extra data associated with them telling any object that's interested what object needs to be pushed and where it needs to be pushed to. This means that while a task bot can tell a movement robot where it wants to go, a rock isn't capable of doing that. That's something that has to come from the network. And as we can see, we've got a large pile of rocks all in the center. The next thing that was added was the shuttle, which you can see is this white thing in the middle of the cluster. This is going to form the center of the Swarm network, providing key functions such as processing rocks, and in the future being able to store power and recharge robots, and also repair damaged modules. So in this version, the TaskBots have been enabled, and we can see them moving out, and what you will see in a second is one drilling. TaskBot is drilling down into the ground and will, when it's finished drilling, create a rock that will then be taken back to the shuttle. The TaskBots are using the same logic as before, randomly allocating a position that they want to get pushed to. This time though, they are of course drilling, they are creating rocks, which we can see here. TaskBots are still being moved on to their new position, and then hopefully we'll see the rocks being collected and moved towards the center of the map. In the center you will of course find the shuttle, which we can see flashing red and blue to indicate that it is processing. Once the shuttle has finished processing, that rock will disappear, and for all intents and purposes it is no longer part of the world, but it has been collected and analyzed for scientific data, or anything else that we're interested in terms of the gathering of samples. It is important to note that while the shuttle will form the center of the Scout network and the center of the operation, it is in no way responsible for actually recognizing tasks or delegating tasks to the robots it is connected to. The shuttle is acting simply as a central point which the Scout network will attempt to remain anchored to, simply because that shuttle provides the rock processing abilities, will provide the power and repair abilities in the future, and because this is the point at which the robots were dispersed into the world. They are also maintaining contact with this central shuttle so that information about the network can be collected by that shuttle and then transmitted back to Earth, back to whatever scientific facilities are keeping eye on this network and what's happening. There is currently, however, no way for robots or scouts to understand whether or not they are presently connected to the shuttle. That is yet to be implemented. My plan is to allow each shuttle to have a memory of where the shuttle is, or at least a memory of where the next closest robot to the shuttle is. Meaning that if at any point any robot has no connection back to the shuttle, however long, that robot will then drop whatever it's doing, it will enter a panic mode, so to speak, and it will move back towards the position where it last had contact with the network. Now this has not been implemented yet, but it is something I plan to put in there. So for example, if I create a scout over here, it's got no idea, wandered off screen, it's got no idea where that network is. It cannot find its way back, and in order to represent that within the simulation, something would have to be included so that if, for example, something moved all the ScoutBots around, say there was high winds, lowered visibility, whatever, we wouldn't have robots disappearing off into nowhere and not being able to find their way back. So that's about it for this update. What I plan to work on in the near future is improving the way tasks are recognized and communicated between the Scout robots. Currently there's a few issues with tasks dropping in and out of the network, and of the occasional crazy duplication of tasks leading to spamming and lag within the Scout network. I also plan to improve the way that these TaskBots work. I want to create dig sites that appear within the world that the ScoutBots can then recognize and request that those TaskBots then come to and dig at. A similar way to how the rocks are created, recognized, and need to be pushed, but to clean up these TaskBots randomly generating positions and ending up wandering away from the network, which we wouldn't want to happen in a realistic scenario. So that's what I plan to be working on. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time.